Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Mason White. Mason, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
For sure, man. So you're just a few short days out from stepping on the North Americans stage. So I'm really excited to kind of chat with you, man. This is a big weekend for Behind the Muscle podcast because we're having a lot of the super heavyweights, a lot of the heavyweights on the podcast, man, just to kind of get behind the curtain, so to speak, in terms of prep. But before we kind of get into all that talk, I would like to know, who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
I would probably have to say I love Jay. Flex Wheeler had a beautiful physique. I like Bumstead's look. I don't know, just anybody. I don't really have necessarily, I would say, favorites, but I like different parts of different physiques.
Now, are there any guys outside? You mentioned Chris Bumstead, he's current day. Are there any open men's bodybuilders that you kind of look up to, or you kind of like their physiques?
Nick Walker's a freak. It's cool to see that nowadays. I like Hunter Labrada. He's got a good shape. Brent Swansen, obviously, that conditioning is crazy. I don't know. I always like Brandon Curry. Big Ramy's fun to look at. Hottie, his legs are just crazy. That's what I'm a big fan of, his legs. I'm curious to see how the Olympia goes this year. It'd be interesting.
The way I see it, this year's Olympia, I mean, they say it kind of every year that's going to be like the best ever, but I really think we got a lot of young blood getting kind of infused into the Olympia lineup. We got some of the old guard that are kind of hanging on. I think it's going to be a legit lineup for sure. So, all right. So Mason, why don't you let us know, at what age did you start lifting weights, and then why did you start lifting weights at that specific age?
I was probably 8 years old in the apartment, in the living room of my dad's apartment. He had a bench, heavy bag set up, crowbar, just little stuff. He trained in mixed martial arts way back in the day, fought in tough men and stuff like that. And he's always just been an active person. So I would probably say probably 9, just kind of messing around.
Cool, man. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to transition into your backstory a little bit. That's like one of the favorite parts of for me in terms of the podcast, is kind of getting past all the bodybuilding and like actually finding out who the person is. So why don't you talk a little bit about like where you grew up? What was your childhood like? Did you play sports? Were you outgoing? Were you quiet? Paint that picture a little bit up to about high school for us, okay?
I was born in Decatur, Illinois, Memorial Day, May 28th, 1990. I've been here my whole life. Moved in with my dad when I was probably 8 years old. Just really started with mixed martial arts, karate. My dad had a karate school growing up. He had a couple of them. Then he ended up having one on his own. And then started wrestling around probably 4th grade. Fell in love with it. Football, 6th grade. Like I said, I just lived in an apartment with my dad for, I don't know, 10 years, and then finally moved to a small town called Warrensburg, Illinois. It's right outside Decatur. It's like a suburb. There's a couple of small towns. Went to Warrensburg, Latham, wrestled, played football all the way through high school. Went to state a couple times in wrestling. Hung out with friends. Wasn't necessarily a fan of like lifting weights and all that stuff. I was just more kind of gifted as a younger athlete, and just kind of made sure I worked hard, and never really got into the lifting part of it until later in life, because I was just looking for stuff to do, honestly, after work. So I don't know, I liked riding bikes, I like to be outdoors. So I was always an active person, always going fishing, swimming in creeks, running the highways just to go to a friend's house. So I was always on the move, I would say, as a kid.
Now, living with your dad for about 10 years, you said, was he somebody that really influenced you maybe in terms of like work ethic, and did he instill some, some really solid values in you, or did you not really have that closer relationship with your dad?
No, I lived with my mom for the first 8 years of my life, and then she got in some trouble, so I had to moved in with my dad. My dad came got me. He had worked on the road. He was a traveling pipe fitter. Um, then he came got me, got a job at home, got more stable around here. Um, and then no, he would definitely be the one that put the work ethic in me. Um, Never wanted to disappoint. Just he was a good person to be around. He was more of a, I would say, more of a towards the end, like high school days. He's more of a friend than a dad, but you know what I mean. More of like a stern. It was more of a friendship because we respected each other, and he lived his life, and he made sure I was on top of mine, but he let me kind of, let me have my fun too. So, but yeah, I would definitely say he was the one that instilled the work ethic in me, and my grandparents. My great grandparents, they were always real tough on me because they knew that I could do well in life, and they, I respected all of them dearly, and that's who I am today is because of them three people.
Now, you mentioned wrestling, and you went to state a couple of times in wrestling, and I'm in Iowa and you're in Illinois. Here in the Midwest, wrestling, football are pretty big, especially wrestling. Did you find that wrestling was your favorite sport, or was that just something that you kind of mentioned earlier? It's just something you were gifted at and you kind of excelled at just because it was a natural ability.
I think it took me away from martial arts because, like I said, I threw my first kick and punch at like 8 years old. My dad was teaching karate. We was always in karate class, and then wrestling came up. I fell in love with it. The hardest thing I ever had to do. You even had to diet then just to make sure you didn't eat like before, like anything crazy the weekend before or the week before, because usually wrestling meets are on Sunday as kids. IKWF. So those are the fun days. Those are my fondest memories. IKWF, the kids club. Um, every Sunday, my dad was up at 5 o'clock. We were going. We were traveling 2 hours, 3 hours away, having to come back, go to school the next day, and go to work. So um, I did. I fell in love with it. I think I needed more of. I had a decent coach, and I had my dad, but I think I needed more people around me that were the same like caliber, and I didn't really have that. I had smaller guys and I had bigger guys who always wanted to train with the heavier kids, but in kids club I never really had the, the team where it was everybody was tough, but I always wanted to. But yeah, no, I would say that wrestling was definitely my favorite sport, and I still had to run run with a sweatsuit on. Still did pull ups, push ups before I left the room. I had a pull up bar as a kid. Before I walked in my room, I did 10 pull ups. When I walked out of my room, I did another 10. Stuff like that, but nothing crazy. Like I went to a couple camps as a kid. I think I don't know. I was all over the place. I I I like girls at a young age. Like I mean, I don't know. And like I said, and my dad being there, but not. I wish he would have been more stern because it would have kept me more focused. But no, I can't. I still don't regret anything. But no, I would definitely say wrestling, and I still had to work at it to be good.
Now, growing up in Illinois in the 90s, I'm assuming you were a huge Chicago Bulls fan.
Of course, you had. Well, I was a baby the first run, and then I was what 6, 7, and 8 whenever. So I still remember having the Michael Jordan champs jersey, still had the Chicago Bulls pullover, the
Yeah.
starter jacket. I also had a Dallas Cowboys. My dad's a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. So I grew up a Cowboys fan, and then I wasn't never really a Bears fan. My grandparents were, and everything. I mean, I still obviously, because I'm from the hometown of the original Staley Bears, Decatur, Illinois. So, that's instilled in me. But I always watched Dallas football and Chicago Bulls basketball.
Very cool, man. Well, it's kind of funny because most kids, I was born in '87, so I'm 3 years older than you. So grew up in the '90s, grew up with the Bulls, obviously dominating. Most kids had Jordan jerseys or Scottie Pippen jerseys. Myself and my younger brother, we actually had Dennis Rodman jerseys. So
Oh yeah.
we loved Rodman, man.
Well, Rodman was on the Piston or Detroit Pistons before, so he's been around. I liked him in his Gold Dust days and all that stuff. So I don't know. I like Rodman, but yeah, I never remember having a Rodman jersey. It was always either Pippen or Jordan.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So when you were in high school, Mason, what were your thoughts about what you wanted to do when you quote unquote grew up, or maybe when you graduated high school, or what did you have some sort of a career in mind when you were in high school? If so, once you graduated, how did life kind of take you in that direction or not?
Well, high school, I was hanging out with older people. No, I didn't know. Freshman and sophomore year were good. I was a good kid, stayed, focused on what I needed to do. Junior year started to get a little more relaxed. I didn't have any plans, man. I just lived day by day. I was working, I was working at Taco Bell, when I turned 16, because I had to pay for my car, I had to get gas, insurance. So I worked that, and then met a lot of people. It was fun. It was a good time. The the plan was not set for me. I didn't really have a talk to guidance counselors. Like I said, too busy hanging out, being a kid. Senior year, I actually quit school. I was dating a girl at the time. We were kind of like, quote unquote serious, and I got into a fight at school. It wasn't even my fault. So, but they blamed me because I was the bad kid. So I just said, screw it. Never went back. Went and got my GED. I don't know, probably 2 months later. And then went to work, building America. Well, I always say build America, but went to work. Started out as an industrial electrician for Fagan Industries. Did that. Worked in like Mount Vernon, Indiana, for a while, and then started working with my dad. He wanted to teach me how to be a pipe fitter welder, so went to work with him and been doing it ever since.
Um,
Um, and then now I got a good, for like what I've done and what I've not done in my life. I actually, now I work for a union utility company here in Illinois, Ameren, Illinois. I don't know if you've maybe heard of it. It's a big gas and electric company here, the biggest one actually. And I've got got into an apprenticeship program with them. I'm on my third step as a gas journeyman. So, like I said, it's definitely, my life has been from great as a kid to I've hit every stage of life, and it's like now I'm in the big boy stage and trying to, now I'm at, 30. I'm 32, which everybody's like, you're not 32. Like 2 weeks ago at the show, I was backstage. Everybody asked me how old I was. I was like 32. Like, how old are you? 24, 25, 27. You got any kids? Yeah, I got three. Damn, like I feel like old man now. So, but no, I would say I never had a plan in high school. My life is it's definitely, I have a guardian angel, and whenever I meet him, I need to thank him. Um, And no, I'm like I don't know. I don't have a plan. I just kind of go with the flow and see what happens with it.
Nothing wrong with that, man. I want to ask you before we start getting into the bodybuilding talk. When did kids come on the scene? Did you obviously you must have probably had them pretty young, or talk about that just for a minute, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
I was 21. I had been working on the road for A-Lure Construction. I ended up going on a float trip the year before when I just turned 21 actually. Well, I'm sorry, I was 23 when we had Hadley. But anyway, met my wife when I was 21. I knew her from being like around like kids. We're from a small town. Everybody knows each other. So, but I had my first kid when I was 23. She had just turned 21. Um, had a kid, bought a house, got married, and then I started bodybuilding, had another kid, and then I was 26 when Brinley was born. And then no, I'm sorry, 27 when Brinley was born. That's my second daughter. And then bought a house, broke my foot. I had another kid, Riley, and then COVID happened. And then started this job with Ameren, started an apprenticeship program with Ameren. So it's just one thing after another. But yeah, I got three girls, 9, 4, and 2. The 4 and 2-year-old are 2 years apart to the day. So that's it. That's fun. Like I said, Brinley, Riley, and Hadley, they keep me grounded. They're definitely a good time.
Uh, so let's start transitioning kind of into some bodybuilding talk then, Mason. So you said you kind of worked out here and there, whatever, lightly when you were younger. When did you actually like walk into a gym for the first time? And why don't you kind of just start unpacking your bodybuilding story a little bit for us, if you wouldn't mind?
I started working out probably when I went on the road. Kind of gave me something to do after work here and there. I never really was a drinker or a partier. So usually when guys work on the road, after work, they either go to the bar, they sit out on the tailgate, cook, drink beer in my hotel parking lot. I went and lifted weights. I got a full-time job when I came home. I got my full-time job back here at Decatur at the ADM plant here. Um, Kind of was going to the gym, nothing really crazy. I thought I was doing everything right and all this stuff. I would say my bodybuilding venture started whenever started going to Decatur Athletic Club here it's in South Shores. It's like another little area off Decatur. But and I met Brent Swansen. That was probably the first time that I got serious about bodybuilding. I had been working out there for a while. I had a training partner, but he was working nights, so he'd come in every once in a while before he'd go to work. Sometimes he would just do it in the morning. So didn't really have kind of fell off towards the end. Like I said, I got introduced to Brent Swansen. I asked him if we could get a training session in one day. He's like, I'm doing legs Monday. All right, I'll be here. I was there on time. I was ready to go. And then ever since then, that's been my training partner. So I'd probably say, I don't even remember when that was, 2019. I competed. So I'd say 2017 was probably when I got into bodybuilding, like started training right, eating right. And then worked out for a little bit with him, and then talked about doing a show because he thought I'd be decent at it. So I did in 2018. I did the shredded cheddar in Wisconsin, but I actually did classic physique. Um, I won the novice, the open, and the overall. So I was kind of like, damn, all right. Crazy. It wasn't a big show, but it was a good show to get started. And then I did the Chicago Pro 2 weeks later. I ended up getting fourth. And then the following year, 2019, I switched to bodybuilding because I couldn't make the weight and the height because I never wanted to be. I told Brent this the other day. I don't think if I ever would have met Brent and got with Brent, I don't think I'd be a bodybuilder. I don't think I'd be in a competitive bodybuilder. I think I would just be an active, ongoing person that just tries to live a healthy lifestyle. So I couldn't meet the weight cap, and I never really wanted to stay in a class. I always wanted to just keep progressing my physique, however big I get. So I ended up doing bodybuilding. I did a light heavy. I did Kansas City, the Muscle Mayhem. Chad, I can't remember his last name. Nichols' show. Ended up winning my class. Lost to the heavyweight in the overall. Went to junior nationals 2 weeks later. Got fifth in my class. Pretty good lineup. The first two was, I think the one guy that won it was Brent Hawkin. He just won North Americans last year. Excuse me, sorry. Number two was that Sid. I can't remember his last name. I think he's from Arizona. He's doing nationals this year. Him and then a couple other guys got fifth. Felt good about it. Obviously, it was the best look I'd had so far. So, and then I was going to go. So going into 2020, 2020. Like I said, we bought a house, and then I ended up breaking my foot in March. I was out for 16 weeks, right over COVID, right, the whole thing of COVID. Actually, it worked out because my work let me be laid off instead of workman's comp because I was supposed to keep working, but everybody was getting laid off at that time. So they just put me in with the guys that were getting laid off, and I ended up getting unemployment and COVID relief for the unemployment or whatever. So it worked out. But so that happened. So I didn't compete in 20. 21 is when I started the new career with Ameren. So I wanted to stay focused, and coming off a broken foot, just life in general, it wasn't the right time. And then here it is, 2022. Brent's like, it'll be 3 years since you competed. What are you going to do? So, and then I talked to my wife, and my wife was like, well, let's do it this year and see what happens. So then here I am. I just did a requalifying show 2 weeks ago because it had been 3 years since I competed. I did the Dave Bowers, Indiana State, and Border Wars. It's like 2 shows mixed. Did that. One, there was 2 sides. There's the Indiana side and they didn't. Some of the guys did both, but I won the open heavyweight in the Border Wars, and then I ended up winning the overall. And I can't remember the guy's name. I'm terrible with names. I really am.
You're fine.
The guy's name that won the Indiana overall, we were kind of backstage, and they went first. And then the Border Wars show was after. So I was backstage when he was there, and he was talking, he was asking me all kinds of questions and stuff. And I was like, it would be cool if whoever wins Indiana, whoever wins Border Wars, the overall would go against each other, and it'd be like the show. And then they didn't do that. We wanted to get a picture together just to kind of look at, because he's doing North Americans too. He's going to be a super. I wish I remember. I feel terrible, but he's a good guy. We talked for a while. He's cool with me backstage, which I'm not like, I'm not like this backstage, but I'm not really like out talking and stuff like that. For him to come up and like talk to me was a good feeling, because he was like, he was just saying all positive things and just being, a good person backstage, not being an arrogant asshole. So did that, and then the plan was do 2 shows because you got to requalify anyways, and you got to get the jitters out and see how the flow goes again. And then here we are, 5 days away from North Americans. Definitely be the biggest show I've ever been at. Obviously, I did junior nationals. It was big, but it wasn't a pro qualifying. Bodybuilding is the only one that can't turn pro at junior nationals at a junior show. So going into junior nationals or going into North Americans, it'll be an experience for me too. So I'm looking forward to it.
So let's talk about this competition that you just did a couple weeks ago where you won the overall. I mean, you hadn't competed for 3 years, you said. You come back, you win an overall, you qualify for a national competition. I mean, you had to be pretty happy, and Brent had to be pretty happy with that outcome. Why don't you talk about that just a little bit more in depth?
Well, through the time off, even during COVID and my broken foot, I was still working out. Like I that's why I said I've lived the lifestyle and the bodybuilder since I met him. Like eating, training. I don't sleep I sleep good, but I don't get a lot of sleep. That's probably the only thing that I would say that I'm not doing 100% is I'm eating what I'm supposed to. Sometimes I eat more. The lifting, the training, that's not an issue. I'm always having hard workouts. Like Brent's crazy. We push each other, which is awesome. And then the rest, you got to have all 3. And if I'm doing anything wrong, it's the sleep, because like I said, I got 3 kids, a house, a wife that's likes to do projects. Bodybuilding is a full-time job, whether you want to admit it or not. Full-time hobby unless you're getting paid for it. And we were happy. Like it was definitely the best look that I've had on stage and that I brought. And I wasn't all the way sucked in either, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot more stuff. You could pull more water. It wasn't a soft opening, but it was a soft opening, if that makes sense. I didn't want to push everything for that show. I just wanted to go in and see what I could do almost at like 90%. So we were happy. I was on cloud 9. My dad drove 9 hours to get there to come watch me. He lives in North Carolina now. He moved out there right after our first daughter was born. And for A-Alert, they opened up a new shop out there, and he's running the pipe side things. But he drove 9 hours. My wife was there. My oldest has been to 2 of my shows now, so we had fun with her. Brent didn't go to that one because he was saving himself for this one. He's been having the health issues and stuff like that. So but he is coming to North Americans to show support and just to be there. So, which is a good thing. But he was happy, I was happy with what I brought because the work has been paying off, getting better, definitely tighter, definitely more muscle. It's nice to see the work pay off, put it that way.
So let's talk about Brent for a minute here before we talk about North Americans a little bit more in depth. Brent's been on the podcast a couple of times. I really, appreciate him. He actually gave me his cell phone and everything. Just a great guy. He's somebody that I know, we don't really talk a whole lot, but he's somebody that I know I could reach out to just on the spur of the moment, and he would be willing to have a conversation with me, listen to me, pray for me, help me out. I know his faith is important to him. So, and you even said that if you didn't meet Brent, you probably wouldn't be a competitive bodybuilder. So just talk about your relationship with Brent. I'm sure, and I'm assuming it goes past just coach and clients, it's probably more of a mentor mentee friendship. Why don't you talk about that relationship, Mason, please?
Brent's a good dude. He really is. He lives just right up the road, actually, probably 5 minutes away. Yeah, we don't have a client coach relationship. We have more of a, I mean, I consider him my best friend. If he needs something, I go over and help him. He's not the most handy man in the world. He's more smart up here, and I'm more hands driven. So when he needs help, I help. I do stuff that he needs, like handyman stuff with him, and he does the bodybuilding part for me. So he's Dr. Jekyll and I'm Mr. Hyde. So, like I said, I have to do the work, but he's the one telling me what to do. So, yeah, it's been a blessing. Him and Autumn, they're both in my corner heavy. My kids know him real well. It's good to have. It really is. We like I said, it would be more of a friendship. I talk to him, text messages every day, send funny stuff, bitch about each other's old ladies, complain about stuff. So yeah, no, we're I would say we're tight. Like he's got a lot of friends and he knows a lot of people. So to be where I'm at with him is a blessing for me.
What's your guys's you guys train together, you said, correct?
Yeah, we get Mondays for legs always together. Tuesday my wife works late, so actually, his gym that he talked about, Warrior Gym, I train there Tuesday night, Thursday night, almost every other Friday, and then Sundays. Because my wife works late, so I get off work, come home, do cardio, go get the kids, dinner, showers, homework, whatever, hang out, just be a dad, get them to bed. Wife gets home. I go, I leave. I talk to her for 5 minutes, leave, go train at Warrior. And then Wednesdays we get back together. Fridays, buys and tries every once in a while. Saturdays, every Saturday, is hamstrings, glutes, and calves. And then we work out Sundays every once in a while together. But yeah, so I would say I get Brent 3 to 4 days a week as my workout partner. So and that helps tremendously, especially for legs, someone to push you, back because you can't see it when you're training it, somebody else to show you, and obviously hamstrings. I mean, those are quads and hamstrings are if not you can do them by yourself, but if you don't have somebody, okay, let's add 10. All right, hold it, and that shit helps. So it's nice to have, and it's definitely much appreciated on my end to have that workout partner those days. So yeah, it's awesome. I can't everybody's does he you pay him to train with you and stuff like this? Like when we first started, no, I just work. Like he wants to work out with somebody that's driven like him, and Autumn works out with us sometimes, his wife, and he works out with her sometimes when I'm not around. But usually, if I can get there, we're training together. So it definitely helps.
That's pretty cool, man. What is your guys's training style, philosophy? What does your training actually look like?
Um, More muscle filling. I would say we go heavy, but we don't go stupid. We don't. I mean, when we do a drop set or something, we'll go to 5 reps. But usually, we don't go less. If you can't get 8 or more, then we need to readjust because we usually go to push the muscle, to push it as long as hard we can, and when you start feeling it in other places, that's when you're done. So I would say as heavy as you can go for perfect form for as many reps as you can do. And we throw different stuff in, like different drop sets, different holds, different, squeezes, band work. I would say we have a bodybuilding lifting style. More reps, quality over quantity, quality over quantity for sure.
Cool. Now another IFBB pro that's out there in Illinois that's been on the podcast, Matt Kuba. Have you ever connected with him or not?
I've met him a handful of times with Brent. I've seen him compete at the Indy. He was there competing when I was in Chicago at the Chicago Pro. So I've seen him. I've met him. Would he be able to know me if he saw me? Probably not. But I've met the man.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not really. I don't really get out and talk to people much. And then whenever I do, when I went with Brent to his show in North at Nationals in Miami that year, I mean I talked to people, but everybody was talking to him, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, you got to have. He is very personable, and I talk to people when I'm around him. That's about it.
Yeah, we kind of before we started the podcast, I brought up your Instagram. You know how we gotta work on your Instagram a little bit, right, Mason?
Yeah, I haven't even posted my pictures from Indy yet, and I was gonna do it on cardio this weekend just because I'm finishing up. I don't know. I did a post on Facebook thanking everybody that came, and I just haven't done it on Instagram yet. I guess I need to be more active just so I can be out there, but I don't live on it.
Well, it's okay, man. It's all good. We talked about that earlier. I just you mentioned just being okay with Brent talking to everybody and you kind of being in the background, and that's kind of your Instagram. I guess my point is kind of portrays that, which again, it's completely cool, man. Now I want to ask you this, Mason. You mentioned earlier, kind of just with your life, you've lived a lot of life. You're only 32. Some people might consider that old. That's very young. But you've lived a lot of life, and you said earlier that you kind of just go with the flow, right? You kind of take it one day at a time. Do you feel like bodybuilding specifically has kind of given you a little bit of direction or a little bit of purpose, like within your life? And if so, why don't you expound on that for a minute, please?
Yeah, definitely. It's like Groundhog's Day, and that's good for me because I know what I need to do. I know that if I do this and do that, it seems like for me to do anything else besides eat, train, hang out with my kids, like I feel like I did something wrong. So it's definitely given me something. I don't know. I just it's a life that I can live with the other life that I have. Now it's not always easy because I don't, and like my kids, I don't not let them have snacks. Like if you go open the drawer or the cabinet right now, you're gonna find all kinds of goodies. And that's another challenge. But over the years, I've just been able to because I've done it over and not just in prep. Like I've done it for years now with having kids and making them meals, not eating their stuff, making them real good food, and then me eat, chicken and rice. And they're like, "Dad, you're eating chicken and rice?" Yeah, I mean, chicken and rice. So it does give me structure with it too. That way, it's not free for all with the kids and life in general. Like just stopping and getting a cheeseburger. Like, no, I got a meal at home. I'm gonna go eat at home. So, yeah, I would definitely say that it's helped me give me something to. Because I don't want to say it's the only thing I think about because then you sound selfish towards your family. So it's given me another life inside of a family life, and I love it. I do. I when I'm done competing, I'll still live the lifestyle. I'll still eat. I'll still train. Still do my cardio. Got to keep the heart healthy because it installs good habits on the kids. So with all the junk and how easy everything is nowadays, like my daughter will ask for my food sometimes. My youngest loves coming up and eating my beef and like potatoes or whatever. She's always in my plate. So, that kind of stuff helps. yeah, I would definitely say bodybuilding has given me something to focus on. And when I've just been squirrel, like my wife says that stuff all the time. She's like, you were just like, and it, there's never a dull moment. I'm never bored, put it that way.
So what is it about bodybuilding specifically that you feel like you value or you love so much? Because you grew up as an athlete just like myself, and a lot of athletes don't turn to bodybuilding when they're done, with high school or college sports. So like what is it? Is it the structure? Is it kind of like pushing yourself kind of beyond, the norm? What do you attribute to your love for bodybuilding?
I would say the aspect of it, like what you're trying to accomplish, there is an art to it. Once you start chiseling away and kind of, you can make your body look as what you want it to look like. Now, to a certain point, no, because you're built a certain way. So I would say why I love bodybuilding is the structure of it. Sometimes it sucks with the eating, I ain't gonna lie, but the pushing of the training, because like I've always been an active person, so I always did martial arts. Football is tough on you. Wrestling is it's probably still one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And then it gave me something else to do because I didn't want to be because I was going back into like kind of like mixed martial arts when I got back home. And having some people can do it, but you got to live that aggressive, pissed off. You don't have to, but it makes a fighter a better person, or it makes a fighter a harder person when they don't have any. They cut themselves off. They're able to get mean. They're in that primal state, and bodybuilding was something else to do to stay active, and it's a hard thing to do. The legs, I love legs. Like if you ain't got legs, don't even look at me. Like I don't even want to talk to you. I see all the kids with the high shorts and everything. It's like they're over there flexing in the mirror, like, dude, let me see your legs. Like, let me see your legs. Hardest thing to train. I love it. Like, it's the aspect of building something that everybody else, and you're not gonna have it forever. So let's see what you can become. Like push yourself as hard as you can, and then when you get older, you'll have something to look back on. So, and it might help you when you get older, which I won't be beat down, so that ain't gonna help me any. But I would say why I love it is the structure, the how hard you got to push yourself mentally and physically. Some of them workouts are tough, man. You get deep and you're like, I just want to give up. I'm gonna throw up, and you can't because you don't want to. Like with me, I don't want to show weakness. I tell Brent all the time, I don't cry here. I cry in the car. So but yeah, I love bodybuilding and being active and training. Like if I don't train, I'm a different person that day. Like until I train, like like and the dopamine, I guess it releases, and you just feel good, and you move blood around, you move food around, like I don't know, it's a good feeling, like it really is. And I'll probably always be active and work out, but as hard as I do now, probably not, but definitely I will always work out because I love the feeling of it.
Do you have a long-term competitive bodybuilding goal in mind, or you just taking it one show at a time?
One, I didn't thought that far. Like I said, I don't think, months, years in advance. I just kind of do.
Yeah.
I want to, I want to turn pro, not because of, and I'm going to say this, not because to get the money, not because to have the time, the effort that has been spent to mean something. So, um, but yeah, that's why I say that I want to turn pro, and I will do another show because they always say you're not technically a pro till you do a pro show, and I've heard that multiple times. So I do want to keep competing, but I got to think about my kids and what they want to do and stuff like that. So if it does, if I don't compete next year, I grow again and then come back in another year. That's what I might do. I don't know. I don't have a plan after North Americans, but go train legs, take the weekend off, and start training legs again on Monday. So, and go from there. So, like I said, I don't have a plan. I'm just chasing something right now.
Love it, man. I love that mentality. Just kind of living in the moment, doing the best you can every day, winning every day. Now, in terms of North Americans, are you going to be in super heavies or heavies, or is that to be determined?
Oh no, I'll be a heavyweight. I won't be. If anything, we thought about maybe like this year we were talking, hell, we might be able to get to light heavy. But I've gained too much muscle. And when you start, my problem area is my butt. I got a white girl booty. I got it from my mama. Like I'm thick, so definitely my butt is my weak link, and you're only as good as your weakest link. So I won't be I don't know that I can suck down to a light heavy. So, but I'm not a super for sure. I'm not that big.
Okay.
I'll be at the lower end of the heavyweights.
So, what would you like it to accomplish at North Americans this year? First call out, second call outs. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you always set an ultimate goal. What's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to win the pro card at the end of the night. And then the next goal is to always be on stage at night. You have to be on stage at night to be able to have the chance. So my ultimate goal for North Americans is to have a fighting chance at night. And to be the best, I don't know. I mean, I've heard bodybuilding's political, and a lot of these guys have done shows. A lot of these guys have been there before, so I'm new. Who's this guy? So I got to stand out at the first thing. Like if they don't see me, like if I just wash in, then I'm going to get washed right in. Then you're going to say, okay, I see this guy. He's done it. I know him. All right, let's call him out. He just did a show. Let's call him out. I know this guy. He trains in my gym. Let's call him out. I don't know how it goes. And I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying what it is. Like if you're not known, you're not known. So I got to come out and they got to be like, okay, who's this guy? So that's my ultimate goal. As long as I bring the best package that I have to bring, I'm happy. The minimum goal, be on stage at the night routine, because only top 5 do your routines, and to have the fighting chance to turn pro. And that's 100% honest. That's if anybody else says anything more than that, they're lying. They want to be on, make sure I don't know. I've said that shit over and over and over. Be on stage at night. Be on stage at night. And everybody's like, yeah, that's a goal you should. That's the goal you should have. Anything else past that is a blessing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, I want to make sure that so I had a lot of the guys, just like I'm doing with North Americans, I had a lot of the guys that competed at USA's on before, and then a lot of the guys that turned pro, I had them on after, and some of the other guys. 2 of the guys that turned pro, I think it was the light heavyweight and the overall winner at USA's, Stuart Sutherland. Brandon Laird got his pro card, light heavyweight, and then Stuart Sutherland, super heavyweight, the overall Mr. USA this year. Those guys, this was their first national competition. So, I mean, were they known? They weren't known at all. So just to encourage you, like you said, if you bring the physique, these judges at these national level shows, USA's, North Americans, nationals, like they're the political stuff, there might be a little bit of that maybe throughout bodybuilding. You can't say there's not, but man, these judges are legit, and if you bring the physique, I'm very confident that they're going to put whoever that person is in the first call outs, and you're going to have a chance, because Brandon Laird, first time competing at the national level, IFBB Pro, won the overall super heavyweight Mr. USA 2022, Stuart Sutherland, first time ever national level show. I mean, he won the whole thing. So I love that mentality of like, hey, I need to show up. I need to let my physique do the talking. The judges will reward that, and so that should be encouraging to you, Mason, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's what I said. As long as it's, they give everybody a fighting chance. Let's fight. Like I said on that I when Sid was like, "Man, is Mason White doing North Americans?" That's why I said talk. I said walk that walk, don't talk the talk. I didn't put talk the talk. I put walk the walk. So I'm definitely a competitive person. You're not just gonna push me over just because who you are. I was the first one in the fight, and I was always the last one. So let's let's do it. So I'm
Yep.
not. I'm as long as I get my chance, all I ask.
Yep. Yep. Well, you bring the physique, you're going to get your chance. I'm definitely confident of that, Mason. So I want to kind of wrap it up with kind of some nuts and bolts in terms of the prep. I know you just competed 2 weeks ago. So obviously combining that competition with North Americans, how much cardio have you worked yourself up to? How has this prep gone kind of compared to other preps in the past?
This one's definitely tougher because more responsibility, obviously. But it's been good. Like I haven't hated my life. I haven't, I've been grouchy sometimes. That's just how it goes. Cardio, usually I get up in the morning before work, do usually 35, 40 minutes, just depends. And then usually, like I said, usually when I get home, I do another 30, 40 minutes. And then after I work out, I usually do 20 at the gym or on the bike just to kind of keep moving the blood around. An hour and a half, however much you do. Just make sure you're getting your cardio in. Brent trusts me. So he's got me scheduled for, I think, an hour and a half. So, make sure you and that's with everything. So get in, get out, get your cardio in. The workouts are normal. They're tough towards the end. Now you're just in the depletion state. So you're just moving the blood, more about cardio. Like I said, getting the glutes tight. So this prep, the food, been normal, nothing too crazy. At the end, I mean, it's protein and vegetables like always. Um, you don't, I ain't cheated. I ain't really, I'm not, I'm craving food, but I'm not there yet because, like I said, I had a good meal after um, Indy. We went to breakfast. We went to dinner. Didn't really have anything crazy. Went to breakfast. The Yolk. They call it the Yolk there in Indy. There's like a few restaurants. Had an awesome breakfast. And then got back to it Sunday. So I haven't really steered off anything. If anything, like Jello cups, sugar-free Jello cups, maybe before I go to bed, just to help kind of fill the stomach. But other than that, it's been a good prep. I don't want to give out any of his secrets because he takes pride in it. I mean, hell, look at his conditioning and his prep at Indy. That's hospital conditioning. So you want that, you got to do this. And are you mentally strong enough to do it? So that's what's driving me this prep is I've seen Brent do it. I can do it. So, that's my driving factor. This prep is just to be the best that I know I can be because at the end of the night, just make sure you don't leave nothing, no stone unturned. Just like, oh, I could have done more cardio. Oh, I could have done this. Oh, I could have did all I could do, bud. So I would say prep has been good. Haven't had any injuries. Still training hard. Still able to get my workouts in. So I would say it's just another day in the neighborhood.
When are you going to be taking off for Pittsburgh then this week?
My wife and I fly out Tuesday. The good thing is I don't have to go to work the days before the show. I took Monday off, so because the show was originally on Wednesday, and then they moved it back. So I kept Monday off, fly out Tuesday, get there in the afternoon, pose with Kenny later at night, dead center, Kenny Wallace. He's my posing coach. Get to see him and just relax until the show. Pose, eat and pose. So it'd be nice to be able to just kind of relax a couple of days before and see what that happens to the body, because every other show I've ever done is you get there the day before, got to get ready, got to get tan, got to get weighed in. Getting there a day early before all that, it's going to be nice. So I get there Tuesday afternoon. Brent flies in Wednesday, and we fly home Friday, and then we got the Labor Day weekend. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Be nice to get away for a day with my wife, just to have her and I kind of just hang out, and then Brent show up, start getting ready for show. So it'd be good. It'd be nice. It'd be a real smooth. Hopefully, should be a real smooth transition as long as the flight and everything goes right. I don't see any hiccups in my delivery on Thursday.
No, it's gonna be an awesome show. The super heavies, heavyweights, definitely gonna be stacked and very competitive. So I'm excited for all you guys to be on stage and just duke it out in terms of just physiques. So we're gonna wrap it up here, Mason. Kind of, I guess the last question I want to ask you before I let you kind of share any final thoughts or any final words, and I do the outro to close us out. In terms of where you're at right now in your bodybuilding journey or bodybuilding experience, what do you feel like is something that you could share with us that you wish you kind of would have known maybe at the beginning of this bodybuilding journey that you know now? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. The constantivity of it, I guess, to be more consistent with everything. I wish, like, I did cardio at the beginning. Like, you always do cardio during prep, but then you kind of slack off. I wish I would have done a little more cardio in like the true off seasons, just to keep the to help with your breathing, because like when you start cardio at the beginning of prep, you hate your life. Like, you fucking hate it. So that, and just keep believing in yourself. Don't ever think that you could have done something more if you give everything every day. So, but no, I mean, I love learning new things every day. It makes life, and it keeps life going. Because if you already know something at the beginning, what's the point? You know it all, so you keep learning, and be more personable at the beginning is one thing I would have told myself, to be more personable. But yeah, no, nothing that I can think of.
Well, you just gave us a few things that are definitely valuable. So thank you for that, Mason. All right, man, before I do a quick outro, first of all, I just want to say thanks, Mason, for coming on, sharing your bodybuilding story. I know you're deep into prep, just like everybody else that I'm having on the podcast this weekend. But thank you so much, man. And I just want to wish you luck, next week at North Americans. Before I do a quick outro and we wrap this up, Mason, if you have any final thoughts, any final words, any shout outs, I just want to give you the opportunity to kind of give anything in finale, and then I'll close us out.
I want to say thank you to you. I've never done one of these before. I guess I'm not the best talker all the time. I'm more, I guess, in the moment. So thank you for having me on here. Obviously, Brent, if he watches, I'm sure he will. He'll be interested to see what I have to say. Brent Swansen. I wouldn't be the person I am without him today. Autumn for the help, and my wife. They're definitely the core value. So to them guys, to everybody competing this weekend, if they watch this, good luck. Or this Thursday, because we usually compete on the weekend. Who competes on Thursday? Everybody competing this Thursday. I look forward to meeting y'all. Hopefully we have a good time. I'm ready to step on stage and have a good time.
Awesome, man. And I just want to say you're welcome. You thanked me. I just want to say you're very welcome. And just one last time, thank you so much, Mason, for coming on the podcast. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. All of you who are tuning into another episode of Behind the Muscle podcast, I want to say thank you to you. If it weren't for all of you, the podcast wouldn't exist. We are 10 subscribers away from that 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. So if you have not gone to YouTube and subscribed to Behind the Muscle podcast, please do that. Help us get to that 1,000 subscriber mark and beyond. It's really important that you subscribe on YouTube so that you can kind of stay current on all the Behind the Muscle podcast episodes. There's, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 episodes that I'll be releasing from yesterday all the way through the weekend into the early parts of next week, really getting a lot of these North American athletes on just to hear their bodybuilding stories. So if you want to stay current, if you want to stay up on Behind the Muscle podcast, subscribe on YouTube. That's where I release all of these episodes first, and then I'll distribute them to iTunes, Castbox, Podbean, and some of the other podcast platforms. And then one other quick favor as we close out this conversation with Mason today that I would ask of all of you, please take this episode with Mason, share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag Mason. Go ahead and tag Mason's coach, mentor, friend, Brent Swansen. He's a great friend of the podcast, been on here a couple of times. So make sure you tag Brent as well and tag Behind the Muscle as you guys share this episode on your Instagram stories and tag all of us. It's just a great way for us to know that you listened to this episode specifically and found great value in it, in which I know you did. It's also a great way for people that have never heard of Behind the Muscle podcast to find it, to listen, and to be positively impacted by Mason's story and other athletes and coaches' stories that have been shared on the podcast. And then finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.